Now, before we go into how to perform a simple analysis, we are going to do a little intro into how to use the Excel interface. So when you open up Excel, I'm using Excel 2016. Once you open up your Excel for the very first time, you'll have something like this, where you have a blank workbook. You will have some templates. You could have some templates around here. You can also search online templates if you want to. And then you also have access to recent workbooks from the past. Now, these are recent workbooks I've opened today, some last week. And then you also have access to workbooks from other sources. So if I want to open a workbook from another source that is different from these sources that I have worked with recently, I have access to that. And in this template section, if you have created a template, which I'm going to show you later, like here now, this template, I've created it a while back, and so I have it on this personal part. But the featured part is your blank workbooks, and in your own version, you might have some templates here for different use cases, so you could make use of them. And also you can search for online templates. So let's start with the blank workbook so we can see the general interface of Excel. So if you are conversant with the structure of Excel, maybe working from Excel 2007 or 2010 or 2013, and there isn't much change from 2013 till 2016. So the interface is pretty much the same. We have a ribbon, which is you could be considered as a navigation pane. Here we have access to all tools and feature sets that are built into Excel. So there are many tabs in this ribbon. This whole section here, we have home, insert. These are the tabs within the ribbon. The whole section here is the ribbon. Now, within each tab, you have access to what we call command groups. And these command groups, they are tools based on one or two sets of criteria. So if you look at the home ribbon, you see here where you have clipboard, this is a command group, and everything here has to do is categorized under that command group. You see we have fonts, this is a command group, alignment, and so on. And that's what you will see in every single tab. When you go to the insert tab, you see table, illustrations, add-ins. If you go to review, you see comments, changes, and all that. So basically, these command groups are based on one or two sets of criteria. Now, it's either they manipulate similar content or they do the same thing. So for example, if you look over here, a clipboard, you see that these are clipboard operations. If you look over here, you see font, it has to do with manipulating the font of whatever is in any of our cells. If you look here, this is some kind of alignment, has to do align left, align center, justify, and all that, merge and center and all that. So, and if we notice these command groups that we have, they are named in a way that will give us an insight into what the commands within the group can do. So you see font, you know that this has to do with everything that concerns manipulation of your fonts, alignments. You have numbers, you have styles, have to do with styling. Cells has to do with inserting, deleting, or formatting cells and all that. So it's very intuitive. And now if you look up here, we have what we call the quick access toolbar. Now this section here is the quick access toolbar. You might have been using Excel for a while and you didn't really know what this was. This is the quick access toolbar where you have the save here, we have the undo, we have the redo, and then you might have this here if you don't, but I just added this to mine. So now the essence of the quick access toolbar, like the name goes, it provides access to tools or a series of tools based on your needs. So whatever tools that you think you use frequently, you can put it for the quick access toolbar. Now you can add to what is on the quick access toolbar by customizing it. If you click on this drop down here, you see where we have everything that could possibly be on the quick access toolbar, some common ones that I use. And you see where we have the check marks behind some of the options. Those are the ones that we have on the quick access toolbar. We have the save, which is this. We have the undo and redo, which is that. And I have this, which I added before this video. But now you can add some more commands that you want. For example, when you look below these options, you see where we have the more commands and this dots, that's tell you that there is more, you have access to, you have more options within this. So once you click on more commands, it's going to bring out a dialog box where you can select more things to add to your quick access toolbar. So in here, we can see that we have save, undo, redo, and cut, which is what we have here. If I want to get rid of something from the quick access toolbar, I click on it and I can just do remove and it is gone. And if I want to add something back, and come here and just find it here. Let's say I want to do, let's put back the cuts that I did. So I can find cuts here. Okay, this is cuts. I can add it and I have cuts there. So although these are the popular commands, if you want to have access to all the commands, you click on this drop down and you will see all commands, just in case the command you are looking to add is not in the popular commands. Once you find it, you click on it and add, and it is done. Click on OK, and the change will be effected over here. Now, let's look at one of the tabs that behaves a little differently from the rest of the tabs on the ribbon, which is the File tab. If you click on the File tab, we have access to like a backstage view. So if we go through these options one by one, look at the info. You can protect the workbook like the name goes. You can check for issues, inspect the workbook. You can manage your workbook, and then you can define the browser view options. If you click on new, it opens up just like when you opened the Excel in the beginning of the video. Shows you a blank workbook where you can select the blank workbook. If you have a template that you have created before, you can select the template, and then if you can search for templates online that in Microsoft has given you access to. Then if you click on open, where you see the workbooks that you opened recently. If you have a OneDrive account, this is where you will see the OneDrive account that you can connect to if you have things saved there, or any other service that you are connected to that works well with this, you will have it here. Then also you have this PC, which is if you have files saved here, or if you want to just look for it in your system, you click on browse and it will open a file explorer window which you are familiar with, and you can find your file there and open it. Then if you click on save, we have the save and we have the save as. Now the difference between the save and the save as is that the save as will save a copy of a file that has already been saved before. So if you click on save and there was no file saved before, it will automatically do the save as. So if you look here, I'm trying to click on save, but it keeps bringing me back to the save as, and that's because this is a fresh workbook. I have not saved it before. So if I save this file now and I save it as workbook 1, then this save button will become active. So then we have the print option where you can define your the way you want this to be printed, select where you're sending it to, define some other properties, some other printing properties. Then we have the share options where you can share with people. This here, you have to save your document to a OneDrive location, and then you can share the documents. Then you can also email it, sending it an attachment. If you click on this, it automatically opens whatever email clients that you have on your computer and then attaches this Excel workbook to that email. You can send it as a PDF, XPS, and other formats. You can export this. This will create a PDF file, an XPS document, and you can change the file types. These are different workbook file types you have. You have some other file types, the tab delimited, the CSV formats, and then we have the option to save as another file path, which is not among these ones listed. And there's somewhere else that you have access to all of this, which is the save as. So if you click on save as, let me click on save as here, and let me just put something here. And you see we have different file tabs here, which is even beyond what you even have there. The options are a lot more. So that's that. And then if we come to close, once you click on close, if you are done with this workbook, we'll close it. But that's not what we want to do now. So I'm just going to click on cancel, so it doesn't close this workbook for me. Then we have the account. If you are connected to, it shows you the account information, Office 365 information, and then if you are connected to any of the services, like the OneDrive, if you have a OneDrive account, you can just see it here. Then you also have access to changing the theme of your Excel workbook here. You can choose the dark gray theme, it changes it here. You can choose the white for those that are coming from older versions. So I'm just going to leave the colorful theme for us. Then we have the options. Now the options is where you can change a lot of features in Excel, from your default file fonts to where your files are saved. You can also change your office theme here. You can customize your ribbon. You can change the quick access toolbar here, and you can also even change the frequency with which your autosave happens. So there are a couple of things you can do with the options area here. So I'm not going to go into all that now. So that's all the features that you have on this file tab in Excel. So most of the time for your spreadsheet, you start your work from your spreadsheet, which is this blank that you have here, and then you walk from this home tab into other tabs. One other thing to take note of is, if you look down here, you see this point where we have here. So you can zoom into your spreadsheets, increase the view in case you want it to be a little bit bigger. And then there are some other page preview and page layout options that you have here, where you can view the way the page looks under different circumstances. So, but we're going to leave it in the normal view for now, because we're not going to be using that a lot. You can see we have something written here, sheet 1, and this is a spreadsheet, and this file is a workbook. So now on a workbook, you can have more than one spreadsheet. So on this file, we have this one spreadsheet, but I can decide to add another spreadsheet. To add that, you could just come and click here, click on new sheet. And once you do that, you see we have sheet 1, we have sheet 2. I can name this sheet whatever I want. Let's say, let me name it sales. And then let me name this sheet 2 profit. And see, I have sales, I have profit here. So this sheet can contain its own figures, and the sheet 2 can also contain its own figures. You can also format this sheet names to have different colors. You can decide to have different colors. In this sheet that we have, you can see these horizontal lines and vertical lines flying all around, and they are bordering each other into these boxes that we have here. These boxes are called cells. Now, a cell is basically where the location where a horizontal and a vertical line meets, and they form sort of a grid there. So, for example, this particular cell, what these cells do for us is that it helps us to be able to reference, instead of knowing what is in that particular cell, we just reference the cell's location. So this cell, if you look up here, this is the cell reference to this particular location of this cell. So here we have B3. This is cell at column B at row 3. If I move to F, this is at column F, and then row 4, at column F and row 4. So it is F4. So we can select multiple cells if we want and do operations with them. So remember I said this is a cell reference. So let me put this here at B3. So B3, I put 60 here. So now if I want to reference this cell in another location, I do not need to know what is a 60. I just need to know the location of 60. So to do that, I will just reference this and put equals to. Now whatever it is you're doing, your calculations, your formulas in Excel, it starts with the equal to sign. We're going to touch calculations in a bit. So I want to reference this cell here. All I do is put the equal to, and I come and I select this cell. So now I am referencing this cell. And once I press enter, you see I have 60. So now if I change this to something else, you can see that this is storing a reference to this particular cell. So this particular place is, you can see the formula is equal to B3. So whatever it is that is going to be here, that's what is going to be in that particular cell that is referencing. As you can see, as I change it, it keeps on changing. Another thing that is good to note is, you notice as we're typing these formulas, we typed it here. So this shows us whatever formula that we have. This is a formula bar, basically. It shows us whatever formula we have put in any particular cell. So later on, we're going to look at a lot of formulas using the function library in this part later on in the course. Now, in this workbook that we are in this sheet we are in, let's look at a few things that are really important. First of all, I want to draw your attention to this place here. You see here we have A1. Now this is where any active cell you are selecting, if you're this active cell that you are on, it shows you like the location, so, and the location is a combination of the column and the row. So this is column A. Our columns are A, B, C, D down to the end, and our rows are 1, 2, 3, 4 down to the end. So this, I am on this column and I'm on this cell, and it's giving me the location, the name of that cell. It is named by joining the column name and the row name. So this is column A, row 1. So that's how we have A1. If I move to B4, I have column B and row 4. Now it's easy for me to decipher this from here, but when I come this way, it's a lot harder for me to look at column R and then 19. So that's why this is really, really important for us. Then if you look here, we see we have the formula bar. Now this formula bar is where you can manipulate what's going on in the cell. So the formula bar tells you what's going on within the cell. So for example, I have 2 here, so it's telling me that it's 2 here. I have 3 here, and look at the formula bar, it's telling me that it's 3. I have 5 here. Formula bar is telling me that it's 5 that is going on, that is within cell D2. But if I also have an expression, let's say 2 plus 4, that gives me 6. So in the cell, I have 6 in D5, but in the formula bar, you see, it's telling me what's going on within the cell. So what's going on within the cell is a summation of 2 and 4, which gives me 6. So that's why the formula bar is really, really important. So now Excel can be used as like a simple calculator, as basic as that, and it can also go as far as creating some complex applications for us. So let's look at some basic functions that are possible within Excel. So we're going to start with arithmetic operations that are possible. So let's say we have a group of numbers 2, 3, 4, 5. You can easily sum them up. So if I have this here, 2 and 3, and I want to get the addition of these two numbers, I can say this is equals to this plus this, and then I have 5. I can say if I want to add more numbers, I say this is plus this, and then plus another number, then we have this 15. So this has summed up all these numbers for us. So we have, in the same way, if I was doing a multiplication, I will see, just change that to multiplication there. I will see multiplication happening across board for all these numbers. So all that multiplication of all this give me 144. So this is pretty easy. We're just working with a few numbers, but what if you want to do, you want to carry out this expression for a group of numbers, which are not just 4 numbers. Now, it will make no sense if you have 100 numbers here, let's say 100 rows, and then you need to start defining this and adding each of this. It's going to take so long. So the idea is that Excel has some functions that helps you carry out this expressions very quickly. So let's look at this now. If I want to create a sum of these numbers here, let me see. I'll use an Excel function called sum, and once I do that, it tells me adds all the numbers in a range of cells. So I also have some suggestions here. So when I select anyone, it gives me like a tooltip telling me what that function does. So I'm going to add my number 1 this here, and a comma, and then my number 2 that there, and you see I have 5. So if I want to add more numbers, I can add E5. So if I add E5 to it, I have another number, E5. I have F5. And see, it gives me 15. But see now, if I had 100 numbers and I had to start adding these numbers one by one, it will still be a very long process. So there's an even faster way to get this done. When I use the sum function, and then I just come and click here and then drag the range that I want. So I want to see C5, some number between C5 and F5, and then I close that bracket, click OK, and I have 15. So you see that doing some of these calculations in Excel is very, very fast, and it helps us to do some of these computations in a quick and easy way. So let's look at carrying out these arithmetic operations on if we have a range of numbers. So let me just create a range of random numbers. I'm going to use a function to do this. So I'll come here and type rand between, that equals to rand between. So rand between, when I say rand between, it returns a random number between the numbers you specify. So I want to see random numbers between 1 and 500. Close that. I see I have this here. So I want to just create a lot of numbers there and drag this down. So you see that I have a lot of random numbers between this, and every time I refresh this, it's going to give me new numbers. Let me drag this here so that it also affects this. Let me just put this here. Okay, so, and every time I refresh this, you see that I'm having new set of numbers. So now let me just carry out some of these operations. Let's look at the most common ones. If I want to do the average, instead of me having to do a sum divided by the count of this, I will just go ahead and say my average is equals to, and then there's a function in Excel. We have a couple of them: avdev, average, average year, average if, average ifs. If I want to just do the regular average, return the average, which is the arithmetic mean, with arguments, which can be numbers or names, arrays or references that contain numbers. So I want to see the average of all these numbers here. So I'm just going to select this range. So it's giving me all the numbers between C6 and K21. I close that and I click on OK, and this is what I have here, the average. It's pretty fast. If I do a refresh, see that. Okay, undo that. If I do a refresh here, you see that it is refreshing the numbers, and at every point in time our average is being calculated on the fly. So if you want to do a sum, the same thing, I'll just come here and I just remember, as you're typing your formulas in any cell, you start with the equal to sign. So sum, and I select this whole range for me. It's a range of numbers, close the bracket and click OK. Click on enter, and then we have our sum. So there are a couple of other functions that are very important. Let's do the minimum and the maximum. So the minimum, because as the name goes, is the mean number, the smallest number in a set of values. So if you look through this range here, which is what I want to check and see what is the smallest number there, and it gives me 3, which is our smallest number. If I refresh this, let me see 10. If I refresh this, 5. see that the number is changing, and that's because it's calculating it on the fly. So what about the maximum? There's a function called max, and same range of numbers. I select them and then I click on that, and it keeps giving me the maximum number in this range. And as this is being refreshed, using Control R to refresh this, and I keep getting different numbers because it is calculating it on the fly. So another one that you might come in handy is the count. So I want to see how many numbers are here. So it counts the total number of cells in a range that contains numbers. So the count within this range of numbers, and then I close that. I have 144. So there are 144 cells within this range that we have defined already. So a couple of other functions that are available to use in Excel. We have more functions for statistics, engineering, the cube functions, information functions, and all that. We have lookup and references. We have math and trig functions. We have text functions and logical functions. So we're not going to look at all that right now, but you can always come here and check them out, see what they do.